minute bolted on. Okay. So yeah, a last minute bolted on approach usually results in bad design and a bad user experience. So okay, so I think I'll discuss this. So design with accessibility in mind from the beginning. It takes a little bit of extra forethought and planning, but it saves you a lot of work down the road. Yeah, that's correct. Myth: accessibility is hard and expensive. True. Cost of accessibility is reasonable when compared to the cost of the alternatives. As I mentioned, a lawsuit are expensive. Yeah. Maintaining an accessible system is cost effective. Negative publicity is expensive. Yeah. And accessibility is ugly, the myth. The truth is, accessibility websites can be stunningly beautiful or not. Most accessibility features are visible. All actually are not visible. Sorry, are not visible. Oh, I need to edit that. So alt text for image, labels for elements, headings. So yeah, reading order, captions. Most pala. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, sorry. Most. I didn't say it all. Most are invisible. So yeah. Okay. Next. Tools for, yeah. So that's for the introduction of accessibility. So, and now, do you have, anyway, later na siguro yung question then after the talk. So yeah, that's for accessibility. And now we're discussing about the tools for identifying accessibility issues. So yeah. So here are the tools that we're currently using. Actually, not all of them, but this is the most basic one that we're using in our company from its source. So yeah, Axe, HTML code snipper, site improve, and Wave. Axe, the Axe, site improve, and Wave are just we're using Chrome for testing because I mean all of this the Axe, site improve, Wave are available sa Chrome as an extension, and the HTML code snipper is a JavaScript that you need to bookmark it. So for you to use the HTML code snipper. So I'll show you an example. So here, Axe. So here's a sample of Axe. I think. Let's see. So show you an example. Welcome to Manila. Okay, so here. So let's try using the Axe. Here, Axe. So analyze. So here. ARIA. We'll be discussing more about the ARIA. Attributes must be provided. Let's inspect the node here. So here, required ARIA attributes must be provided. Must be provided. It's already provided. And elements must have sufficient color. So yeah. And here, there's other tool that if this one looks readable, but yeah, for Axe it is not. So yeah, we'll see why. So I'm using other tool for this. This one is contrast radius checker. So I just click that one, and yeah, it's passed AAA. So I'm not sure with Axe. So anyhow, maybe other. This one. The ratio is 1.5, so yeah, it fails. So yeah, anyway, basically this the tools, the some automation tools that you could use to check what are the errors, accessibility errors in your site. Like this one, ID attribute value must be unique. So here. Perhaps main content already exists. So yeah, 3 main content ID. So yeah, frames. So iframe must have a title attribute. Image must have an alternative text, alternate text. So yeah, and that's for X. The next one is HTML code snipper. So this one is in bookmark. So here's a report. Heading structure is not logically nested. So it started with H3, where the heading should always start at H1. So it's there, H3. So okay, if you see a homepage, there are errors, warning, and notices. So what we're trying, because there's some gray areas there, right? How can you, I mean, between errors, warning, and notices? In our company, we're trying to prevent those gray areas. So if it's warnings, and upon checking that, I mean, should be an error, we put it an error instead of warning. So basically, we don't have warnings or notices. It's either pass or fail. So yeah. Okay. So yeah. So that's how you check what's there in your website using the HTML code snipper. Text displays the background image. Some says like this one, it's not really an error because they can't really inspect because of the background image. They am not sure what's the color of the background image. So this element space on the background image ensure the contrast ratio between the text. So yep, you need to manually check it. Like this one, it can because the color here is using CSS, so they can provide an error. And also there's a suggestion what color should be used for it to pass the testing. Yeah. Okay, so that's for code snipper. And the next tools that will be is site improve. Um, okay, site improve. Load first. Site improve. Here, and context. Here it says image missing alternate text. So the Twitter. So I need to open my DevTools. So it says here no alternative text. So yeah, there's no alt text. Though it is okay not to have an alt text, but I mean, it's not okay not to have an alt text, but it is okay not to have an alt text value. So basically, if it's just a design or nothing to be read by screen reader, yeah, basically it's just a design or a background image. So you just need to put alt and an empty value, and that's it. But if it's it need like this one, it's a Twitter image, so and it's not a background, so you need to put text with it. Oh, Twitter. Yep. And also regarding since we're already discussing an image, if it's a background image, better to do it on CSS instead of rendering it by IMG or SVG. So just to, I mean, the better practice. So if it's a background, use CSS. If it's not, yeah, that's okay to use IMG. And with the alt text, if it's, I mean, it's not necessary. Just want to display it. Use an empty alt, but if needed, add alt text on it. Okay, so yeah, basically most of the errors here is just alt text. Import initiate element ID is unique, should be unique. And what else? Content landmarks, use of color. focus also, yeah. The logical should, the tabbing should be sequence logical, link purpose, yeah, the parsing. Okay, yeah. And we'll be discussing this later. This type of errors. So basically, this is what we're using the tools to check or to analyze what are the errors before we doing a manual checking. Because these automation tools are not, really getting 100% of the errors. I think as discussed by our team leaders, around 70%, depends. So yeah. And the next tool, the last tool is Wave. So okay, just need to reload. Okay, here. Empty link. Free empty link. Code. Okay. Empty link. Ah, stupid. Anyways, so yeah. If you notice, there are some repeated errors that you found to other tools, and some are new. So that's why we are using different tools. So yeah. Okay. And yeah. So those are the tools that we're using. Okay, so we're now discussing the structure on how to fix those errors or to prevent it. So says some says that prevention is better than cure. So yeah, I'll be discussing is to write a better markup and to prevent those errors. Okay, so we'll start with semantic structure and navigation. So first is the page title. Page title is the first thing screen reader user. Okay, so okay, so the title or of the page is critical because it's the first thing a screen reader user hears. Blind users cannot glance quickly at the content of the page to see what the page is about. So they rely on the page title to give them this information. So web pages without titles waste the time of screen reader users because they force users to navigate through the web page, paste the main, pass the main menu and into the content to find out what the page is about. So yeah, page title is important. And then extra benefits, the page title improves search engine optimization. So title for every page. The title must be present and must contain text. Head. So yeah, basically the standard page title. Page title must be updated when a web address changes. So accurate and informative. And yeah, and I intentionally added this in the search results because um, not all searches of pages shows the term that being searched. Sometimes the search page is just search results, something like that. But it is recommended to show the keyword in the page title or add the keyword in the page title. So the screen reader knows if it's reloaded, the page has been reloaded. So it says the keyword in the search results. So yeah. Next is language. So yeah. Okay, well, yeah, it's really important to set the language. Basically, um, this for screen reader, it might correctly pronounce. Example, you don't have a language set on the web page, and by default, it is. I mean, the screen reader sets to English. So if there's some foreign language on the website, the screen reader will try to read it in English. Example, if it's in Spanish, so it might sounds weird. So yeah, the default is in HTML lang en. So yeah, as an example here. Also in paragraph, if you already set the language in HTML head into en, and also if you're doing a foreign language in the in your paragraph, so yeah, better to add this lang es, so the screen reader will know on what language this sentence or this markup on, I mean, yeah, on what language it should be read. So yeah, important to add the language. Next is landmark, and landmark are used to designate sections of the overall page design layout. Headings are used to designate sections within the content. Okay, so landmarks should be used to designate predefined parts of the layout. So header, nav, main, footer, sometimes you put a side, like that. So yeah, but the rule is all markup should be inside the landmark. Also, when the user navigate using a screen reader, so he can that markup or that markup will not be missed. So yeah, that's why it is important that all markup should be inside the landmarks. So here's are the sample landmark and their area role equivalent. So yeah. So headers equals to role banner. So example, if you write a header tag, you don't need to what we call this, to add a role banner. But if you do have a header and you use a div, and that's a head sorry, you use a div for header instead of rewriting it because you already set a CSS for that or something like that. So you could use the aria role. So just use role banner. So the screen reader will interpret it as header. So yeah, because we encountered that sometimes when there's a website that we assess that, okay, you need to change this, and he mentioned that I don't want to change this example for nav. He set it into div, something like that, and he don't want to change it to nav because they do have a separate styling for nav. So the other solution there is for nav to add just add the role navigation to it, and yep, it will be considered as navigation. Yeah. So yeah, here's the HTML5 and the aria role equivalent. Okay, and yeah. Next is semantic structure. So landmark still. All text should be contained within landmark region. Multiple instances of the same type should be distinguishable. Yeah, okay. So this second one is also important. So example, you do have a multiple nav, role nav. So when a screen reader focus on that nav, it just said nav, navigation, and you do have a lot of nav, perhaps a main menu, top menu, and also in the footer. So to distinguish this, you need to add a aria label or aria labeled by, and we will discuss that further later. So example, does it have a nav here? Yep, here navigation. Oops, okay. Okay, here. Okay, so if you use this one samples Drupal Manila's website, here label by, this is an ID, so we need to look for this ID, and the text here will be pronounced by screen reader. So it will says navigation, main navigation. So it is clear that it is the cursor or the focus is currently set to main navigation. So the other nav here is, I think, footer. So labeled by, this is an ID here. So also main navigation. Why? Or did I miss it? Okay, sorry. Here, it's just footer. So yep, it's footer navigation. So, okay, I'll just show you.
Voiceover on Chrome, Drupal camp. Navigating list, presenter, Drupal camp Manila 2020 vertical line, Drupal camp Manila 20, schedule vertical line, inbox, reload this page. You are currently on schedule vertical landmarks menu. You banner. Main navigation, main. Main windows, left website, form, heading, links, windows, landmark, no form, headings, links, windows, spots, landmarks menu.
Why is footer
Banner, main navigation. Schedule vertical line, Drupal camp Manila, voiceover off.
Footer is not considered as landmark. Why? It's not being considered as a landmark. I don't know why. So anyhow, so yep, that's how. I mean, you should. Page. Okay. Optimize page for screen reader. Hi Jerome, can you speak up though?
Yeah, you just demoed the Drupal Camp Manila 2020, which is not fully optimized, right? Yet for accessibility. Do you have one that's already fully optimized for accessibility? It would be good to experience an actual optimized page. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we do have a project that I'm currently working on that's being fixing this accessibility issue, but I need to ask first. I mean,
Yeah, no
I-
worries. We understand completely. It's okay. It's okay.
okay, so yeah, I'll try maybe after this, and you just need to ask someone if it's okay. So yeah,
All
so
right.
for now, yeah, so I'll just continue for now. Yep, I'll show you later. Okay, so yep. Oh, a page should not contain more than one instance of each of the following: banner, main, and content info. Total number of landmarks should be minimized to the extent appropriate for the content. So yeah, the reason the landmark should be minimized to the extent appropriate for the content, because if you go to a screen reader, it will list all the landmarks, and that's a lot for a screen reader to read, and also yeah, makes screen readers too slow and maybe not accessible because having a long list. So yeah, and headings. Headings help with content organization and navigation. Bonus benefits. Headings improve search engine optimization. Okay, so text that acts heading visually or structurally should be designated as a true heading markup. H1, H2, H3, H4, and H5. And it should not be what do you call this? Heading should not be just styled and set it into bold or strong, font weight bold or strong. Instead, it should use the actual markup, the true heading markup. And yeah, because it's also help with a screen reader and also yeah for SEO. size brief. Okay, so I'm trying to show an example of screen reader.
Rex Modal has joined the meeting. Voiceover off.
Shit. It's not working properly. I'll try to fix it. So, yep. So that's for the headings. So it should be in order: H1, H2, H3, H4, H5. Should not skip. Okay. So, all right. And next is links. Screen readers, announce links, and then read the link text. You don't need to do anything special to make that happen. There are a few best practices to keep in mind about the links, though. So here. Okay, links must be semantically designated as such, A and with the href. I used this presentation in Drupal 2019. Okay, so links and buttons should be designated semantically according to their functions. So don't be confused between the links and buttons. Sometimes we're trying to use A or links as a button, and we just remove the href or use the pound sign or the number sign. So here are the differences between them. So yeah, links take users to different locations, either to a different page or to a different location on the same page. So yep. And two is button. Button activate a script functionality. Example given. Make a dialog appear, expand a collapse menu, third font bold, and whatnot. Usually on the same page, but the button can also submit form data. So yep, those are different. So yeah. So let's try to prevent using an A or link to some JavaScript effect or so scripted functionality, and use instead buttons, because it's really important to screen reader, because when it focus on the A, it's a link, when actually it's a button that activate a script. So yeah, there might be a confusion for a user who's using the screen reader. Okay, so link must have programmatically discern the text. So yeah, here's the order. Though example, you added there's already a text in a link, but you added an ARIA label. So instead of reading the text on the link, it will read the ARIA label value. So yep. So this is the order. ARIA labeled by ARIA label, and the text contained between A and the closing A, opening and closing A, and the title attribute. So, yep. Actually, sometimes it helps if you want to override a screen reader to announce a different text. I don't know if you'll do that, but yeah, you could use example, you already have a text between the opening and closing A, and on the screen reader you want to pronounce a different text instead of the text contained between that. So you could use a ARIA label, assign the text in it. So I'm not sure if that would be yeah. So yeah, links to external sites, new windows, and files. And it is also necessary to inform users if the sites will be opening into a new window, or the site is files, or it's in an external site. So the example here is, so I created a visually hidden text here. Um, Span area hidden through visually hidden. The ID is opens new window. That's the text. So every time I do have a link or an A tag that will be open into new window, I just add the area described by and added that ID. So I don't need to rewrite. I don't need to append the open new type every time. So just an ID. So yep. So when a user focus or a screen reader focus on that A tag, the user will know that it will be open into new tab instead of on the same tab. So yep. script to user. And here, a PDF. So same with the PDF. So we need to inform the user that the current link is in PDF, or you'll be opening a PDF. So example here, we added the PDF version of Screen Reader Survival Guide instead of just a Screen Reader Survival Guide. So the user is aware that this is a PDF version. I mean, this is a PDF. So, and yeah, and visually distinguishable from text. Okay, so yeah, this is for hover and focus. So our we're trying to in our company we're trying to implement, actually is the process that the focus and the hover uses the same styling. We're trying to use that. I mean, if you're familiar, when you focus using keyboard, right, keyboard tab, it will just an outline, but on hover it's just an underline or change color. But we're trying to use the same styling. So when you hover, it will use the same styling as focus. When you focus, it will use the same styling as hover. So one styling, and we're trying to make it accessible. The color contrast is fast, and also it emphasizes that you're currently in focus, like adding a underline, or it's already an underline, just changing the color or changing the background color instead of the font. So yeah, it should be obvious enough that the focus is currently on that element, on that link. So so navigation. So by the navigation, use nav or just role navigation. It will be visible method for informing users which page the navigation currently. Okay, so yep, this is, I mean, the first link or the first tab when you on a web page and you hit tab, it should be should be the first focusable element. The skip nav or the skip the main content nav, a link, yep, should be one, because example, users already goes to the homepage and go to on an article, and he already gone through the navigation, and he want to bypass that instead of tab until he reach the main content. So the first tab, we should give an option to skip the whole thing on the main navigation or top menu or whatever's in the header, and goes directly to the main content. So yeah, that's why it is important to have a skip to main menu content link, or skip nav. Skip link. Okay, so reading order and tab order focus. So the order determines the reading order. So yeah, so the reading order and tab focus order should be same, because sometimes we're using float left, float right, and the element goes to the right, goes to the left, and the reading order, and when you hit the tab, it's different. So that's incorrect. So the reading order and the tab focus order should be the same. So yeah, because I mean, for example, for a blind user and using a screen reader, on visually able person, that's fine. It can read properly, and this is on the left and this is on the right. But using a screen reader when tab, it goes to the right first and then goes to the left. So for a user that using screen reader, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. And so paginated views. Yep. So yeah, this for paginated views. So for pager should be visually, not visually, at least put a label that this is you're in the current page. Example, on my example here is page 3. So when you're I mean browsing through the pager, when you hit the active page, on this example, it's page 3, it should obviously mention that you're currently on this page. Not just, I mean, visually by styling it bold or changing its color, but also you should put visually hidden text there. Current page also for a screen reader to read it. Here. Yeah. Or ARIA label. So yeah, for tables, yeah. So data table should have a programmatically associated caption or name. The caption element's the most straightforward way to give a table to give to a table. It's also possible to use ARIA label by, because if you do have a multiple table on the website and use a screen reader, you'll just see a table with number of rows and number of columns. And when you go to the next table, it says table, number of rows and number of columns. So it's not clearly what's the table for. So if you have a caption, so table for first quarter results, it's clear, right? And if you do have another table for second quarter results. So users can, I mean, can go to the table they want. It's not like no label to it. Mm-hmm. So yeah. And also on this example, he uses the heading to put the table caption. So it needed with th. So basically, the correct way to define or to create tables instead of using div or span and style it. So if you're doing table, you need to follow the correct way to build a table using table, th, td. So list. When screen reader comes to a list, they announce that it's a list. Yeah. And announce how many items are in the list is help blind users to get a sense of what the things are, lists, and how large they are. Okay, so list must be constructed using appropriate semantic markup. So for list, it's either UL or OL or GL. For UL, can be placed in order. OL, items placed in specific order, in any order. So for iframe, since we don't have content, well, mostly we don't have control of the content inside the iframe, but we do have a control over the iframe tag. So it is important to have a title to it. So defining or telling what's this iframe is for. And not all, example for YouTube, not all, every time you capture or copy the iframe or the markup, sometimes it doesn't have a title on it. So you need to manually add it. Should be markup list. So yeah, sample list. Here, sample strong and EM. Critical emphasis critical emphasis in the text should be conveyed through visual styling. Text format. Option 1. Add a visible text. This is the most straightforward technique. You can add words like important or warning to your text to make sure that the content is emphasized. So, yeah, emphasizing text. Important. And you can't just style it on red because screen readers will not tell, okay, this is in red, it's important. No, you need to put a text important. You need to add an important text to emphasize that this is an important text. Or you could have a visually hidden text important. Okay, and if you have an image, just warning. Okay, black quote element should be designated to a long block level quotation. Visual styling alone. Yeah. Okay. So code. Be marked with code element style to look different. Okay. Strike through. Strike through text should be marked with that element critical strike-through text must be supplemented with a text-based method to convey the meaning of the strike-through. Was now. Example, this for this one is we just if you put styling, just strike-through styling here, the screen reader will not know. It just read as price reduced $100, $75, and that's it. But that's why it's important to add hidden text there that this is the was version and this is the now price images. So yeah. So same with the other element. This is the order label, area label, alt title. This is the order. Color is a great way to enhance the visual appeal of our web content, but we must ensure that color is not the only way information is conveyed. Information in this context includes emphasizing text, distinguishing between visual elements, and distinguishing interactive elements from static elements. People who are colorblind or have low vision or blind may also have access to information conveyed. So yeah, and it is actually the color is included in the automation tools. So yeah, but sometimes you just need to manually check it. But yeah, automation tools will let you know that this need to be manually checked because of the color. And labels. Automatically associated with the corresponding element. So yeah. So for a label, let's say input, or yeah, text field input. So the recommended one is having a label tag, but sometimes programmers or design don't want to have these labels. So you do have an options to use aria labeled by, aria label, title attribute, or a placeholder. Yeah. So yep, notifying users of changes. So okay. One of the biggest accessibility concerns with dynamic content is the need to notify users that the content has changed. Sighted users benefit from the highlighting or drawing visual attention to the changes. Users who are blind need to be notified some other way, such as by loading a new page, sending focus to new content, or using Aria Live announcements. Yeah. One of example here is if you're using a hamburger menu. That's right. Example on this Drupal Manila website when on mobile. So we're using this hamburger menu. So when you click this using a screen reader, so basically it doesn't announce anything. So if you're using a screen reader, or if you're a blind user using the website, you didn't know what happened. You just click it and not know. The screen reader didn't announce anything. So that's why it's important to add a script. So once you click this, it will set a focus to the first link, home, telling you open this navigation, main menu navigation. It's currently focused on home, just to tell users something happened. I mean, screen reader users something happened when you click. So yeah, that's important because blind users may keep clicking this and nothing happen, and no one's announcing what's happening on the site. So that's why it's important to announce. Okay, so read the page title, provide summary. So start reading from top of the page. Yep. Yeah, this one is this is the recommended version, the option 1. When you're using Ajax single page apps, load or reload the page. So the user will read again the page title, provide the summary, and start reading from top of the page. Or option 2, when you do something like Ajax single page app, set the focus. Example, you open a dialog, set the focus on the first text of the dialog or the form that you open. So it's clear to user that something happened upon clicking that button. Yeah. So here's the example button. This is important, the tab index 1 before setting it to focus. If it's not a focusable element using tab like this focusable link, you need to, for each is not focusable element using tab, so you need to set this tab index 1 and set that focus. So when you click, it will automatically set the focus to the first heading 2 of that form that currently open. Yeah. This is not really necessary for having a timeout. Sometimes it is needed because there's some delay, or I don't know, for some reason that's not show right away. So yeah, adding a timeout might be convenient. So, and also ARIA Live. So yeah, when something happened, example, when you're submitting a form and it throws an error, it's important to inform a user there's something happened when you submit a form. So using this ARIA Live Assertive, ARIA Live Polite, or the role alert, it will inform the user that something happened upon clicking a button. It's that when you hit the button and there's an error, nothing happened. Even the focus didn't change. So yeah, it's really important to have this ARIA Live announcement. Yep. Time limits. So whenever there's a time limit on an activity, users need to either know the time limit ahead of time or be warned when the time is about to expire, and they need to be given sufficient time to either finish their work or extend the time limit. So this may work for visually. There's a countdown timer on the screen, right? That's okay. But if you're using a screen reader, you can't always set your focus on that timer, right? You're also sometimes answering the form and your focus is on the form. That's why it's important to announce or set a timer that announce that the last 2 minutes, something like that, and inform the user that yeah, there's a time limit on what he doing. Yep. Timers with fixed deadline. Timers with fixed deadline should be provided user with dynamic countdown. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, Ajax events are a common part of the modern web design. They speed up the user experience. So almost done. Now we to the focus management. I'm done. My time. Lazy loading. Sorry. You can load small parts of the user interface content. So basically, this Ajax single page app, every time you click a button or every time you click something or every time it happens, you need to announce that something is going on every event that you're doing on the website. If it's a click or change the focus, if you change the focus and something happens, or example, you click this checkbox and there's another set of options shown, you need to inform that the user something happened or something changed when that event's been triggered. So yeah. So not just for the visually able person, it's also the one who's using the screen reader. And yeah. So yeah, for the infinite scrolling is not really ideal for accessibility, but if you do have infinite scrolling, yeah, so must allow users to reach all areas of the page with the keyboard. The infinite scrolling feature may be activated only at the user's request. So yep. So ARIA, okay. ARIA widgets. ARIA is a shorthand for accessible rich text. each internet application. ARIA is a set of attributes you can add to HTML elements that define ways to make web content application accessible to users with disabilities who uses assistive technologies. So, yep. Never use ARIA unless you have to. You're doing it wrong. Okay. Useful only to assistive technologies. ARIA is not a programming language. And that would be all. Okay, so I'll as one request, I'll show this is my current project that I'm currently working on here. So there's a implementation of what we discussed. Again, this is not perfect, still in progress. So as mentioned earlier, so when a user focus on this text, imagine if it doesn't have an alert, it's just Martin Conti COVID-19 latest information. It just didn't bring much attention to a user, right? So that's why we added an alert here informing this alert message for users who visiting the site, and it's also on top. So when you here. So the first tab is to skip the main content, and the next one's and okay. So for the slider, if you notice, there's a pause button. It is also required to have a pause and play button, so the user can control of the slideshow. Because okay, so currently the slides, okay, next image for visually able person, you can see the image is changing, right? Yeah, you can see the image changing. But for users who uses the screen reader, for them, they are not sure what's happening on the slider, right? So what we did here is every time the image change, there's an announcement, the slider image one, or we announce the alt text of the slide image. So yeah, so every time the slides change, the user also aware that the slideshow is changing. So yeah, not just the visual able person, and also the one who uses the screen reader. And if they want to pause it, so there's an option to pause it. So that's why all slideshow should have a pause and play button. It's just necessary. It's necessary and required. And also, of course, the previous and next button. If you notice also the links here, we added the underscore and emphasizing there's a change. It's changing every time you hover. What else can I show you here? I'll show form. Check the form. Okay, so here, okay, so it's a bonus. Not all what you call this spam protector or captcha works or accessible for Drupal, for Drupal. And example, the reCAPTCHA Google is not totally accessible. Yeah, it's not accessible. So what we did here is we used the math captcha, and we announced the question here. So 6 plus 9, and yep. So user will add the answer to it, because the reCAPTCHA is not really even for visual able person or maganda hearing, it's not clear when using the reCAPTCHA. The voice is not clear. Sometimes you don't understand what it's saying. They're trying to type. So yeah. So what we did here is use the math question. This is a more accessible CAPTCHA that yeah, we found out there. Oh, accessible to contact. Yeah, if you notice here, there's an error, and upon error, we set our focus to the error. So letting the user know that there's an error of the page. So yeah, when you're using a screen reader, it will announce instead of saying the page title, it will read this error. The page requested does not exist for convenience, so on. So yeah, so the user aware that the search is trying to do is not exist. Or yeah. What else? Okay, also this one search, and also when doing search or an Ajax, this page will not load. If you notice, we set the focus to the first item. Let's try better, more search results. Permits. Yep. So here. So user using tab. I'll just using here. Tab. Clicking next. So if you notice, the cursor or the focus was automatically set on the next first result, to let the user know that the Ajax is done, or the page is being reloaded, a new set of contents or results. Yeah, new set of results, and there's something happen on the page. So when you click next, it should automatically go to first. So another batch of search results, so on and so forth. And then what else? I'm trying to find the contact form. We do have a contact form. Not contact us eh. Contact us ba yan? No. Let me find. Tapos na pala ako. Wait. Employee contact form. Okay, here. So, so our so when you submit, for example, we leave these errors. I mean, required. We leave those fields. If you notice, the focus is set to the errors, to the message alert, informing the user that there's something happened, or yeah, there's an error, or if your submission is success. So yeah. So yeah, because by default, when you submit the form, nothing happened. So users using the screen reader does no idea what happened on the page after submitting the form, if there's an error, or if submitted successfully. So yeah. So yeah, and that's how it works. So I think that's it for me. So here's my credits, and thank you. And that's it for me. So, Paul.
Thanks, Adrian. That was a very informational topic, Adrian. Uh, especially serving our brothers and sisters who has an impairment. I think even the blind persons, if your site is has a accessibility compliance, they may be able to read it using their devices. So thanks again, Adrian. So guys, if you have some questions,
Yeah, I think there are some questions. Can I answer them?
sure,
Or do
bro.
I have time? Okay.
So yeah,
So
just
first for Jerome, can you demo us an optimized page? So I'm trying to demo. Sorry, I'm trying to demo a screen reader, but unfortunately, I'm using dual monitor, triple monitor, and the screen reader is set to the main in my laptop, so that's why I can show it perhaps some other time.
That's okay. I think the last one you demoed was good enough. Thank you.
Okay,
All right.
right, cool. Thanks. So next, how do you fix a third-party application? So yep, we do have a separate issue here with third party. So we mark our when we doing assessment, we mark is either failed or third party, or the next one is content error because sometimes it's just a content. So basically, if it's a third party, as I mentioned, like if it's an iframe, yeah, we don't have control over it as long we add the for iframe, we just need to maintain the title attribute, and yeah, we don't have control for the third party like Google Maps. Mostly in our case, Google Maps, it's not really uh, accessibility compliant. So yeah, we can't do anything about it. So yeah. And the next one is Adrian. How about the pop-up modal boxes? How do we treat those? Yep, that's okay. Pop-ups. So for pop-ups, as mentioned earlier, example, if you do have a timing or let's say every 5 minutes or every an hour, no, not hour, every, let's say 5 minutes, there will be a pop-up. That's okay to have a pop-up as long you set the focus on the title of that modal or that pop-up to inform the user that there's a pop-up on the page and perhaps he's trying to do tab and nothing happens because there's some pop-up or there's a modal showing. So once you do have a pop-up shown, you need to set the focus there or set a message or inform the user that yeah, there's a pop-up. And also don't forget to have the close button on it. So and also when you do have a pop-up, ensure that when you do a tab, the tab will just loop around the pop-up or the modal because some and I think and encounter that there's a pop-up and I try to tab and I pass the last element and the next tab is in the main page. So main page. So how can I go back to the to the close button, right? So yeah, it's important when you do a pop-up, the tabbing should be looped within the modal only, not goes to the main page. So yep. And the next thing, sorry, I'm in a hurry, guys. And the next thing is, in addition to modal dialogues, how do you fix the trap focus? How do you fix a trap focus within a modal? How do you fix? I'm not sure I understand, Mark Benson. How do you fix a trap
Hello,
focus within a modal?
Adrian. Yeah, so for example, the user is on a dialogue, and once he used the keyboard to exit the modal, um, how will you fix the trap? If the focus is trapped on the modal, how will you return it back to the main page?
Okay. So the basic one is to have an escape, to have an escape button, have a functionality. So if a user click an escape, because I think that's the default how do you close a pop-up button, a pop-up or a modal form, right? So ensure that the escape button has a functionality on your modal form. So when you escape it, it automatically call the close button. So a click event to close button. So yep, and and when the modal forms close, ensure the focus step back. Ensure the cursor or the focus will set back from where it is before the modal is open. So it will continue. So the user can continue from yeah continue browsing the
Okay, thank
page.
you.
Okay. So next is may we have a copy of presentation? Sure. Perhaps coordinate with L and Paul. I'll send mine. Okay, next, the last one is for functionality like accordion. It is required to make a space bar activated or just the enter key is fine. Okay, so in our case, as mentioned earlier, we're trying to prevent the gray areas here. So as much as possible, we're trying is an error or is an error or is an error, is pass or is a pass. Regarding with the space bar, we're trying to support that space bar. We're trying to support the space bar because sometimes the space bar works on some elements and sometimes it is not. So that's why we support space bar. We tell the user because some of the user understood this when you hit the space bars, it will submit or it will click an element. So why not support it for all elements? So yeah, eventually you will need it. So why do it now? So yeah, that's how we did it. We support space bar and enter to open an accordion or yeah, or to click or to call the click event. Yep. And yeah, any other question? Yeah, I think fall we're good. Sorry medyo lumagpas. Yes, I'm good, Paul. Okay, so while waiting for Paul, anyone got a question or medyo malabo ba or is anything I can help? Ayan, that's Paul.
Hey, bro.
Paul, yeah, I'm done. Thanks.
So,
Sorry for the extension.
yeah, thanks, Adrian again. That was really very informational topic, and shout out to all of our Drupal friends from Malaysia. I think Akmal is here, and Mr.
Flores.
Yes. Welcome to Drupal Camp Manila, guys, sir. And so our next topic in this room is so hosting large video conferences with open source tools. Mr. Edivit, sorry,
Flores, I'm here.
Oh, sorry, Flores.
Right. Hello. I'm Flores Mongeer. I just woke up.
Oh, that's all right.
Here in the Netherlands. It's like now 9 o'clock in the morning, so I'm here with a nice coffee. And I'm really glad that I can attend your conference in the Philippines. That is one of the great assets that we now have with this crisis on the world, that we are in lockdown and all the events go digital. And I'm really glad to be part of it. So I'm going to give a presentation on how to do this, what we are doing now with open source tools. Let me share my screen.
All right, give it up to Mr. Flores.
Good.
All right.
I need to find out how I get my, there, share screen. And then we go for this one, I think, yeah. Cancel. This one, yes, share. And then it will change, I hope, to the next tab. Sure, stop the share. Okay, there we go. This one, go here, do it again. And then share, and then go